What's up everyone, this is Kay. Ganyu is pretty darn fun to use. This is a review on how to use Ganyu, the role she plays within a team, different artifacts and weapon recommendations, and whether you should summon her or not. So I'm sure you all know her abilities by now with all the leaks and trailers. A quick refresher though, standard 6 shots from normals, charge level 1, charge level 2 which deals AoE, E skill which taunts enemies and does damage upon activation and being destroyed, and her E burst which basically rain ice spikes. Passive 1 helps with her charge shot crit rates, offering good artifact flexibility. Passive 2 increases Cairo damage when her E burst is active. This helps a lot as well, and passive 3 helps with bow crafting. Here are my general stats. She's obviously still incomplete, but this review isn't on any particular builds, more so a review on how to use her and how she can be effective in battle. Her crit rate is still growing, but it's basically at 40%. Remember her passive, which increases her charge shot crit rate, so always add an additional 20% towards your crit rate stats while building her as a DPS. You don't want to have too much crit rate stats since you can have something else. 60% to me is perfect, giving you 80% on charge shots. Crit damage should be the second focus, and depending on your build, recharge could be very effective, especially if you're building her as a sub DPS instead of a sniper. For weapons, the Ammo's bow, which is on rate up, is top recommended, but I don't have it, and I assume most people won't get this 5-star bow. So sacrificial bow is great if you have her as an all-around DPS, meaning you're not only using her for charge shots, but using her for E skills and burst as well. She can spam her E skill and her burst with this bow. Ganyu can plant 2 lotus at once with this bow, giving faster energy recharge particles. By the way, she'll get energy from her E skill upon hitting enemies during activation and after it's destroyed, so you can easily spam her burst even with low recharge stats. The Viridescent bow is amazing, but it's a battle pass weapon, so not really accessible for a lot of people. Now, depending on your bow, it'll affect your headpiece artifact. If the bow has crit rate, then equip crit damage. If it's anything else aside from crit rates, like base damage, recharge, or crit damage, use crit rate circlets. For free to play, you can forge the prototype crescent, which is perfect for sniping, and this is accessible for everyone. There are many optimal artifact builds for Ganyu, and I'll explain the roles. The Wanderer's Trope is strictly meant for Ganyu's sniping charge shot build. You sacrifice damage on her E skill and burst, but damage with her shots are powerful thanks to the 35% boost. For substats, crit damage is the main priority, but having energy recharge or attack percentage is also great for secondary substats, but having crit rate isn't a bad idea either, because if you only rely on that 20% without having any other crit rate, then it will become unreliable. So having some crit rate isn't bad to have. For Sands, go with attack percentage because you want to optimize her damage output. Goblet is Cairo, which is a must. Got really lucky with a 28% crit damage on this one. And the headpiece is either crit rate or damage, again depending on your bow. But if you somehow get a 45% to 50% crit rate, which does happen if you're lucky, with pure substats, then go with crit damage or attack. The second set of artifacts is the 4-piece Cairo, which can work for a DPS or sub DPS Ganyu. Let me explain. With this, Ganyu have a 40% crit rate on charge shots without any stats from artifacts. With good substats, it'll give you a lot of flexibility in building her equipment. Now keep in mind, if you're building her as a main DPS, you'll typically aim for the head or weak spots, which is a guarantee 100% crit. But from my own experience, the bloom or the tick or whatever you want to call it, it isn't guaranteed even if you hit the head or weak spots. Only the initial charge shot is 100% guaranteed. There were a few times where I shot the head or weak spots, but the bloom didn't crit. So if you want a more reliable bloom damage, 4-piece Cairo is the way to go. It will also increase crit rate for your burst as well, which leads to a reliable sub DPS role. For example, her burst will inflict Cairo damage on all enemies within the field, so the 20% crit bonus from the artifact will always come into play, offering a more reliable form of damage. For a strong sub DPS role, 2-piece Cairo and 2-piece Nobilis is great. This is when you sacrifice her charge shot role and use her strictly for her burst, which is quite powerful. If you are building this, energy recharge is your friend. What I'm currently using is the 2-piece Gladiator and 2-piece Cairo build. This gives her a general boost on all abilities and is the best set to use with the Viridescent bow since higher damage means more damage for its Cyclone effect. 1k damage per half a second just for the Cyclone, adding up to about 8k damage is not bad for some extra damage. Her E-burst on crits will increase in damage as well, around 3k or so on crits, which sounds low, but it's a constant attack for quite some time, so it'll definitely add up by the time the skill ends. Besides, my build isn't complete yet. I think her talent is only level 2 or something like that, and some of the artifacts aren't maxed out yet. So I'm predicting maybe 4k once I'm done, maybe more, and she's also at Constellation 0, just to let you guys know. This isn't a whale account or anything, I'm just a small little dolphin. Charge Shot is pretty good as well. Again, I'm not done with this build, and her talent is like around level 4 or so not level 6 or anything. As of right now, 6k on Charge and 10,600 on Bloom, which to me that's pretty darn good. Now, on a complete build, I've seen players hit over 10k on Charge and like 15k on Bloom, so 25,000 damage within seconds of charge shots. Now the question is, should you summon Ganyu? If you do not like bow users as DPS or aim shots in general, skip her. She is built mainly for sniping essentially. If you want her strictly as a sub DPS, mainly for her burst, though it's very good, wasting thousands of gems just to use a character's burst isn't worth it in my opinion. Unless it's Venti, which is like on a whole freaking different level because he's just that good. He's a god after all. And Bennett. Venti and Bennett are the two main units I would recommend summoning for just for the burst because both of theirs is quite OP. Now, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying that, but Ganyu's burst, though good, isn't worth like 300 bucks or something. To whales and EX luck players, keep in mind most players can only afford to get one 5-star character once in a while. Summoning Ganyu just for her burst isn't worth it. Now, on the other hand, I highly recommend you getting her for her charge shots. That is her main role. The damage potential is freaking phenomenal. Again, when built right, she can do over 20k per charge shots when combining damage from her initial and Bloom. That is without buffs or reactions. She's a powerful DPS who can clear waves and kill bosses relatively quickly, but again, if you hate using bow characters as a main DPS, then skip her. Child doesn't count, okay, because you're mainly using him for his E. But having fun outweighs tier list, so if you don't like bow users, again, you can skip her. But if you're okay with bows or you enjoy them, Ganyu is a reliable and amazing DPS unit that will help tremendously. So 100% I'd recommend her if you want a good DPS. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future Genshin Impact videos. Special thanks to my patrons. And good luck on your summons for Ganyu. I hope you get her. And I know some people are skipping her for Xiao or Hu Tao. So good luck on your summons in general. Till next time, everyone, take care.